So talk to me about you and your, and you know, where you are at the moment and what your background is, briefly. An introduction to you.
All right. So my name is Shaileen Shah. So I was born in Kenya, East Africa, which then we moved here in 1972. Must have been about 4 years old at that time. And the reason why we came here was because the Kenyan government and the British government were allowing people to come over, and there was a bit of a problem in Kenya with the Mau Mau and the terrorists and everything. So there will be Asians out, the British out, and everything. So this is where my background is. I went to school at Preston Manor, which is a school in North Wembley. But then my mum was quite ill, so I had to go back to Kenya because she needed to be in sunshine, for funny enough. She had a lot of problems with her legs and everything. So I went back to Kenya when I was 9, and I went to a wonderful school called Imani School, which is in a pineapple plantation, basically. And we stayed there for 2-3 years, and we came back again, basically, to the UK because all our family's here. And then, yeah, schooled at Preston Manor again, and then I did H&D in business and finance with marketing and advertising. And then I sort of joined Carphone Warehouse as a retail sales consultant, which seems quite a long time ago.
So what was your, when you did your degree, when you did your degree in your business, marketing and finance, what kind of was your thought process of what you wanted to do afterwards?
I wanted to go into advertising and marketing because I had a real interest for it, and just wanted to be in that sort of scope and what that means. But once I finished that, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and jobs were quite hard to find on that side of it. So I decided, well, while I'm thinking of what to do, I might as well just work at Carphone Warehouse in that sense. But funny enough, I stayed there for 16 years.
Wow, so it was a good decision.
Well, yeah, and then I found out that a lot of graduates actually joined Carphone Warehouse at that time. So there's a good, you know, ethos of real intelligent people and who wanted to do great for customers, and it sort of led me to like where I am now in terms of how you treat people. And there's one thing that I don't know if you know, but Sir Charles Dunstan said, is there's 5 fundamental rules that you need to follow, and those are just stuck with me, basically. I'll give you one: treat others like you like to be treated yourself. That's one.
Give me all 5, Shaileen. I want to know all 5.
The reputation of the company's in everybody's hands. If in doubt, under promise and over deliver. And I can't remember the other 2, so I have to get back to you on that one. But those kind of things really sort of stood out, and it wasn't just about having customers in the shop. It's how you treat people in your day-to-day life, and also when you move on in your career as well, because I think making connections and, you know, bit of, I wouldn't call it stakeholder management, but actually talking to people instead of email, it makes a big difference in how you do your work. You might not know the work, or you might be a newbie, but that's a way of finding out how you can do your best in your new role and so on. So I stayed there for 16 years. Then I took redundancy, and it was a bit weird because I've been there for 16 years and I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and it was also very scary because I'd had no job, 2 children, very small, and a mortgage, as everybody else has. I think it's the right decision, to be fair, because I needed to figure out for myself what I wanted to do, you know, going along. And sometimes you hit that spot, either you hit it at 20 or you might hit it at 30, and you don't know, and everybody's different, so don't be scared of that.
So it, and Carphone, going back to Carphone Warehouse gave you an opportunity, didn't they, to kind of look at something different that you hadn't thought about. So tell me that story about how that came about.
Of course. So I was working at the Ealing Road branch at that time as a manager, store manager. And then one of the guys who used to be my manager recommended me for a role. And they were looking at store formats and how we can change our format, because mobile phones were coming to a peak in terms of sales and stuff, and they're looking at different products to include that. It's called the connected story in terms of wireless speakers, Sonos boxes, you know, all that kind of stuff. And at that time, I think it was very new to everybody. Everybody didn't understand it. So I was invited to be the operations guy, project manager sort of, and we did some trials in the Birmingham stores, which are the most rundown stores and the most least performing stores. And what we did, we incorporated different types of training. We changed the actual store layout, and we introduced something called Geek Squad, which is a tech services from the US. And then those stores just flew after 8 weeks because the training was different. There's real excitement, you know, actually selling different products with your handsets and so on, which led to the Wireless World story. And we opened our first store in Westfield, White City. And that it's like a spiritual place, to be fair, that store. It's gone now, by the way, but it was a spiritual place because that's where the actual story began. And we were there all night doing this store up and thinking, oh my God, the shopping centre's not ready. How are we going to get this store open? But you know what, everything came together in that morning, and the store opened on time and so on. And from there we started you know, rolling out these stores, but there was problems with them in the sense that when we launched them, that the actual execution was around 29-30%. So the stock didn't get there, the POS didn't get there, the broadband didn't work, and so on. So from there we realized we needed a process, and my task was to build out, how do you open one store, how long will it take? And there was about 11 different departments you had to engage with, including doing their own job as well, basically. So it was a real big change and shift in how you're thinking. And I created the NSO, which is a new store opening process, which is a 3-month period where you acquire the store, you train your people, you order the stock, you order your marketing stuff, and then you do a fit out at the end of it. And it sort of worked. But when we were doing the fit out, there was still some issues in terms of stock and everything. And the fit out days were 4 days at that time. And at that time, we were doing everything on spreadsheets and I was literally going around every department finding, have you done this? Have you done that? Have you done this for this stuff? And it was really, really manual, and you couldn't keep track of it. So what we did was we invested in a project management tool at that time, where it defined tasks for each department, and it kept a guide on where we are with each store, which is really great, because even if there was an issue, we knew it, you know, 6 weeks before that store opened. So it's not a surprise to the directors, the exec team, and it's not a surprise to us. And we had a mitigation plan after that, how we deal with it. And the store accuracy went from around 32% to 98%, which is fantastic.
Wow.
Because when the store opens like that, the engagement level and the staff who are going to run that store, they just fly. Basically, what we did a bit of analysis on that. If we launch a store correctly, how are the trading figures straight away? And they're brilliant. If you launch a store negatively or something's not right, then the morale of the staff and everything it's really hard to get that back as you go along, basically. So that was really, really impactful. But the actual fit out time was still 4 days. So what we need to do is work out, okay, how can we change that? And there's a few tweaks and stuff we did, which actually rolled out to the whole estate after that in terms of how we manage our deliveries and everything. And we got down to a 1-day fit out in the end, which is amazing, because that means more revenue and lost trading days, but which is, you know, incredible that way.
So okay. Because I get you were with Carphone Warehouse. So when you did this brilliant project and then you left, and you left after 16 years, did you just finish doing your project?
No, well, yes, the project was finished that time. We decided that 280 stores is more than enough. We wanted to see how they work. So yeah, I finished that part of the project. One of the projects that was starting was Samsung wanted to do some like have a store in store in our stores, so they have a, you know, like an Apple stores type thing. So I was working on a project with them, but that was going ahead quite smoothly, and most of the actual execution and the planning on everything was done. So, but yeah, I left when the Wireless World project finished, basically.
So what has that led to? Because you've gone from doing 16 years at Carphone Warehouse, a lot of retail, customer service, learning how to treat people and how to communicate with people, and then you've gone, right, 16 years is enough, I'm moving on. But what has that whole experience led to in your career? What are you up to now?
So at the moment, funny enough, I'm working for the NHS, Surrey and Borders, which has been fantastic because I've never worked in the public sector. I've been helping the digital health engagement team, which is the learning and adoption team, the training and so on how you can train better, how you can engage with the other teams that rely on you to take the training forward, and how do you start connecting with people in different departments, because these guys work so hard and they're so dedicated, but sometimes what happens, they work in silos because they get thrown over, yeah, you need to train somebody on this, but without any notice or without any you know, even background what the actual project is. And my role is really to stop that and making sure they have the right information before they can launch it, basically. And although it's coming to an end, I think they're in such a better place in terms of how they execute projects, how they train, and there was two teams that were blending at the moment, which were the digital health advisors and the trainers. So there's two teams coming together and trying to figure out, what does this mean? And you can imagine when you're working in those roles, these people have been there for quite a few years, some of them, and it's a big change. It's a massive change, and the actual work they're doing, it has a real impact on the, you know, the service user at the end of it. But yeah, and that's where I'm at the moment. But before that, I've been to Santander, did some GDPR work, and I was at Sky. So what it's done in a nutshell is actually opened everything up for me, and I'm not scared of just staying in one area. And you know, it was a bit of a light bulb moment, to be fair, and I think everybody will have that at some point in their life, not just career-wise but life-wise as well. And I don't panic anymore. I don't have anxiety anymore. And COVID really hit me hard because I was out of work for a year, but I wasn't panicking about it. I just kept myself busy and kept my mind busy, and I started doing a course, which is the IT professional exams, which I haven't finished yet. I need to start accelerating on that. But what it does is that it just shows that you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, and don't be scared of opportunities. And also don't be scared. I think Richard Branson said something: if you're not sure about a job that you had an interview for and they've given you the role and you don't know how to do it, accept the role and just learn how to do that job. So, you know, don't let anybody tell you that, oh, you haven't got the right experience, or you're not. It's not about that. It's about how your attitude is and how you connect with people, and that's what it's fundamentally about, basically. You can have all the skills in the world, but if you don't talk to people rightly, you will get nothing done in life and in work as well. And I truly, firmly believe that now, which is interesting because you go to different, like NHS was really weird, and I had nothing. But you gradually just build up this relationship, and it's up to you to be proactive and find out and invite yourself to meetings and so on, so you can learn more. So yeah, that's my story in a nutshell, to be fair.